I love that. That's like those are the same kinds of bars. That's my language. Okay. Turns out the liberal Joe Rogans were here all along. It was just two white ladies from Oklahoma. Now let's get to
episode
a fun podcast appearance that I did with the I've Had It ladies
that post their workouts on the internet. I hate everybody that posts their outfits of the day. I like yours every single day because you're so cute and so smart and so everything.
I do it for you specifically. So that's why I do it. But thank you so much for the kind words. I'm honored to be on the most radical progressive podcast in North America.
That's right.
This is the headquarters. This is the headquarters of the actual resistance, and not like the 2016 era resistance liberalism, like the real resistance.
This is it. You are in the epicenter of it. We are not around. We have had it from top to bottom, and we're calling every motherfucker out. No one is safe. No one. We have had it. Fox News is on our trail. They're wound up like cheap clocks, which is always just a bonus.
Of course.
When they get wound up. But Hasan, what have you been up to, and what have you had it with?
Oh, I have so many things that I've had it with, but first and foremost, I wanted to say I've had it with Democrats who are not fighting. If you're a Democrat, you have to fight. If you can't take the heat, you got to get out of the kitchen. That's the number one thing I've had it with, because we know that Republicans are bad. We know that they're going to ruin the country. They're doing it already. They're doing all the fascist stuff. They got the military takeover of the Capitol. But we need Democrats to be out there putting their bodies on the line. It can't just be the American public. I'm out there at the protests. We're getting shot at. I don't see any Democrats with us. I need to start seeing Democrats at those protests. I need to start seeing like actual, visible, prominent politicians that are making a big fuss about the kidnappings that are going on all around the country, and also even the unlimited funding that's seemingly going to Israel.
Well, that was a real aha moment for us, because it's such an easy layup right now to take down MAGA, to say MAGA isn't America first. They are clearly Israel first. Moses Mike Johnson packed up his toys because he didn't want his base to find out that Trump is in the middle of a pedophile ring. And he went immediately to his home district of Israel. They are Israel first.
Yeah.
And so I was waiting for the Democrats to say this. And they can't say it because they're beholden to the same people that Moses Mike Johnson is. So when the only bipartisanship that you see in Congress right now is support for killing marginalized Palestinians and starving them out, that's a huge problem for the Democratic Party. And here's the thing. And the Democrats are being really stupid about this. I played a clip yesterday, Hasan, of Marjorie Taylor Greene bashing Israel and talking about an economic populist message, like Americans are sick of funding wars, they're sick of not having health care. And I just said, she's a nut. She's clearly anti-Semitic, all this stuff. But I said, when you consume news, you're a middle information viewer, and you just see those clips, the Democrats are leaving us vulnerable to more fascism, to more conservatism, to more Christian nationalism by not taking the lead on this. And it enrages me.
Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene should not be the leading voice on this. Like,
Right.
she should not be outflanking any Democrat on this issue whatsoever. The Democrats are leaving a massive they're leaving this space and discourse completely void, and it's allowed Republicans to basically capture this issue because they recognize, at least some of these
Do they hide their power level to the audience? These two do not look radical whatsoever. That's the point. Do I look like... Do you expect someone that looks like me to say the things that I'm saying? No, right? Well, they're in the same boat in a totally different direction, okay? I'm not saying they're like card-carrying Marxist Leninists or whatever, but like this is a good thing, okay? It's a good thing. Does the chat not know they were on Fear End? Yeah, they've been... I've been connected with I've Had It for a minute.
Is a way to communicate earnesty, because it's a 92 to 8% issue at this point in the Democratic Party's base of support. The majority of Republicans don't even support Israel as they once did. You got basically just a base of evangelical Christians who are evangelical Zionists, who are some of the most rabid supporters of Israel. American Jews don't even Israel like that anymore. And, you know, the Democrats are still seemingly leaving this conversation out there for the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene to take advantage of, to make themselves seem like they're earnest and not grifters.
Totally. And she is. She's a total grifter. But, you know, we've been keeping an eye on her, and she has been hanging out with Steve Bannon a lot. And they're nuts. But Steve Bannon has good political instincts, and he always returns to an economic populist message. Now, does he want to deliver that populism once he gets power? No. Absolutely not. But he knows that he can use it to lure them in. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's figured out how to game the stock system. You know, she's made her money. And I think she is starting to realize that Trump's 95. He's got cankles, you know, clearly has dementia. She's starting to see beyond Trumpism, and she is evolving in a Darwinian style to say, how am I going to survive after this cult? And once the damage and the debris field of all of this shit that he's done, there is going to be a rise of economic populism, and the Democrats are leaving us so vulnerable.
No, absolutely. They are, I think the real scary person in this league of villains is Tucker Carlson.
Really?
I'm truly terrified of that guy. And the reason why I say this is because he was early. He was an early adopter of the fake populist messaging. When he was on Fox News, he was one of the only guys in mainstream news that was actively talking about like workers' rights and how important it is that like the right wing actually care about American labor, right? And Donald Trump in many ways actually adopted that framing when he was talking about why he was going to do tariffs. When he was going to do this tariff strategy, when he was like, oh, we got to revitalize American manufacturing. These kinds of like anti-NAFTA positioning, all of this is actually trade protectionism. It's technically supposed to be like a left wing economic message. Now, of course, the way that Trump has implemented it is ridiculous and has been disastrous. But I think a lot of that actually stems from not only Steve Bannon, like you correctly identified, but also even someone like Tucker Carlson. And I truly am worried about what kind of damage he would do if he was actually in charge, if he actually ran for president.
Well,
TV guys won before. Because
they also have the support of what you called them Christian Zionists. I call them Rapture preppers, because I live in the Bible Belt, and these people are genuinely prepping for the rapture. And this percentage of the population are what leave us most vulnerable. These religious rapture preppers. This is the way Putin entered, is through the prayer breakfast. This is the way everybody gets radicalized to Trumpism. This part of the electorate is the worst part of America. I think you may remember during—
Wait, you think that Tucker will run for president? Yes, I do. I'm very worried about that prospect, actually. I do think that Tucker has elements of being a true believer as opposed to even Donald Trump. The outcome is still obviously... it's either like the maximum bad or just really awful. But because like Donald Trump is not a true believer and he's still doing a lot of damage, right? But Tucker Carlson, I think, is a little bit of a true believer as well. I think I could totally see him adopting just straight up Hitlerian, like even more so overtly Hitlerian policies. I don't even. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say like Tucker would be even worse than the Trump administration, because the Trump administration is trying to do mass deportations, or at least communicating that they want to do mass deportations because immigrants are a parasitic force that's like violent and whatnot. And that's Hitlerian. We're there already. But like, there's always a step that's worse than that. You know, it could get worse. Tucker Carlson is like having Stephen Miller not be a policy writer, but like being a charismatic version of Stephen Miller himself and putting him directly in charge. If you think that Donald Trump's calls to violence against marginalized populations is scary and damaging, think how much Tucker Carlson could utilize that very same bully pulpit.
This last election, a guy in France that worked in the French government, he was a politician, said, we have to have more independence than waiting every 4 years to find out how the voters of Wisconsin vote, because other countries are recognizing that we have a dipshit problem in America with part of the electorate. And the thing that pisses me off, Hassan, about the Democrats is there's still this that they want to lure some of them their way. Instead of just saying, look, we need to get new voters. Those people are always going to vote right.
Yeah.
But there's still this kind of you probably saw when I got into it with Rahm Emanuel. I got in a fight with him and he was trying to bend to say, hey, I don't like trans people either. And I'm like, that's not the way. Randy Brashear proved that we don't have to throw any group under the bus. And he got elected in Bible thumping Kentucky, like Mitch McConnell land. And so I don't know why the base, beyond the Israel thing, I don't know why they want to, if it's just still upholding patriarchal structures or protecting capitalism. But at this stage, I'm so mad as a Democrat. And listen, I was in the tank. I was Hillary. I didn't vote for Bernie. My oldest son, browbeat me for that, called me a conservative, and I was that Democrat, okay? I was that Democrat. And people use the word radicalized, and I don't think that's the right language to what happened to me and what's happening to a lot of white women that look like me. I would say it's being deprogrammed, and this is what pissed me off. The Democrats won. Joe Biden won, and we all saw what happened on January 6th, and that motherfucker got elected again. They should have charged him. He should be in prison. And I just saw the breathtaking at the core of that party that y'all are playing two different games here. And that's what pissed me off about the Democrats. And I still see that going on right now with the Democratic Party. They're not standing up to him. It's like, come on.
Yeah, no, that's you have to at some points punish a child that's misbehaving. Otherwise, they're never going to learn the right lesson. They're never going to grow up to be a healthy adult. The Democratic Party, on the other hand, is so cowardly, so feckless that they are utterly devoid of any sort of counter messaging campaign. They're just incapable of combating anything that the Trump administration is doing. I have begged consistently Democrat Party consultants, the Pod Johns, when I go on their podcast, to be like, the Democrats should behave more like Donald Trump, but with good policy rather than the evil policies that are damaging to the working class that the Republicans present, damaging to marginalized groups that the Republicans present, like, taking away women's bodily autonomy, fantasizing about potentially taking away gay marriage, things of that nature. The Democrats should do Trump-style politics, but with good policy instead. Oh, we're doing student loan debt relief. What are you going to do about it? Sorry, everyone is actually going to enjoy that. Republicans are going to enjoy that. We're going to do paid family leave, right? Whether you like it or not. We're going to do healthcare, whether you like it or not. Sorry, sucks to suck. Oh, you hate free healthcare? Well, you're going to get it regardless. I think that's how they should legislate in a bold way, and also punish people both within their ranks that step out of line for corporate interests. And I'm talking about, of course, Kirsten Sinema and the Joe Manchins of the world, who are playing the role of a villain, a revolving, rotating villain within the structure of the Democratic Party. Whip those votes. Why am I talking about all this? Well, the reason why I'm talking about it is because before I actually met Democrats, before I actually went to the DNC, for example, before I met the consulting class, I always used to think that these guys are just like cynical, amoral monsters who are cold and calculating. They are just simply, actively behaving as the controlled opposition party. That they know that they have a role to play here in the grand scheme, but American politics is a duopoly, but it's actually uniparty when it comes to a lot of stuff like Israel and foreign policy and even tax cuts and deregulations. And their role is to broadly just stand aside and allow the Republicans to dominate and shift the Overton window further and further to the right. And I thought they were doing that on purpose. And then I met a couple Democrats.
Did you do this the same day as the other interview we watched earlier? No, obviously not. I have a different outfit on.
And then I started meeting their consultants, and I realized, oh my God, it's not even that. They're just stupid. Like, they literally are so stupid that they genuinely think, like, when they say, oh, we got to go along and do a song and dance with Liz Cheney, there are some dumb in there who unironically thought that this was a banger. Like, they literally, what they were communicating to the TV channels about how, like, we have to hug and kiss Liz Cheney because we have to, like, bring over this mythical moderate Republican voter, when have you met a Republican lately? Like 90% of the things that they are, 90% of their grievances are just made up. They're hallucinating it. You know what I mean? They're living in an alternative playing field. Like, you're not winning those guys over. They think you're like a pedophilic vampire. You know what I mean? They don't think like, they're not like, oh, wow, reasonable foreign policy. That's why I'm voting for Donald Trump. No, they literally have hallucinated an alternative reality. So they didn't win any of those voters, but the intention behind those actions are, I guess, genuinely stupid, but genuine nonetheless. So I guess there is like there is some hope there.
I do think when you think about the way the base moved the Republican Party so far to the right, we have to be that bold and move the politicians that we have right now that far to the left. And none of them are perfect. Like Gavin Newsom and the, what's his name? Charlie Kirk interview. I mean, double thumbs down, annoying as. But what he's doing right now, the cap lock tweet and like acting like, sending that out, those unhinged tweets, kind of like Trump did, and threatening to gerrymander. We have the leaders that we have right now. And I mean, here's the thing, Hasan, between you and me, I think, most people would probably rather earn their money on their back than being an elected politician. So these are the guys that we have right now. So I think our best plan, we have to beat up on them, but we also, when they're showing good fight, we have to support them and also continue to move them to the left, because the people that live in these all MAGA supermajority states, the damage is already happening and has been happening. And so I share all of your disenchantment, but I think we need to, as a base, keep pushing them. The ones that we have now, the ones that won't push, primary them, but the ones that we have, I think they can evolve, because look at how quickly the whole Republican Party changed. I mean, these guys used to just, not that long ago in my lifetime, they told Nixon to resign, that they wouldn't support him.
They used to think Russia was bad.
Yeah. Well, they had a sense of shame back then. I feel like, they were still doing a lot of shameless stuff, but there was like broadly some level of wanting to preserve some decorum, wanting to preserve the sanctity of institutions, right? Like at this point, it's just like pure domination. They don't care. They will they understand the resentment that people have towards these institutions after multiple decades of not getting any progress for anyone in a meaningful manner. So they recognize that animosity and they use it. They use it to their advantage to basically pick apart the corpse of America at this point for like profits for a couple of their friends. The president did a rug pull meme coin, like with cryptocurrency. What are we doing?
I think a lot of us see that what I spoke about earlier, the failure in Joe Biden's term, the biggest failure of his term, and what that term will always be defined for, regardless of any legislative accomplishment he did. In my opinion, that presidency would be considered a failure because it led to not incarcerating Trump and protecting voters and protecting democracy.
And Gaza.
Yeah.
Right.
And Gaza too.
Yes. And that left us so vulnerable. And then when you see Zoran Mamdani, like we're all dying for like a savior, right? And you see this Barack Obama Riz kind of look, that larger than life kind of celeb politician arrive on stage where you're like, oh, who's this guy? He's good looking. Oh, he's spitting facts.
By the way, Barack hasn't said anything about Zoran. I don't know if you noticed.
I know. And so that's my next point. So my next point is then you're like, oh, okay, the Democratic Party, everybody needs to endorse him. And then I see Cory Booker, abject disappointment, puss out on it. Just a total puss. I see Hakeem puss out on it. And you see all of them. And I'm just like, and he's still like, I just saw a poll come out today, Hasan, where he's ahead of Cuomo 20 points. He's getting the Jewish vote. He's getting, the white vote, the minority vote, all the votes. Yeah. And I'm just like, and I think go back to
he's winning the conservative vote. Did you know that?
Yes. And I go back to you, Hasan. They're stupid. The Democratic, they're stupid. They don't understand. They're all about charts. These are the same people that thought we're going to spend, what was it, $10 million to learn how to talk to men?
20 million to learn how to talk to young men. That's what the Democratic think tank did.
And what you're saying is how you talk to them. You say, you don't like healthcare for everybody, tough titties, son. You're going to get it anyway because that's what we stand for. We don't let poor people die. Tough. You don't like your student debt being forgiven? Fine, we'll exclude your ass, and you can pay.
I love that. That's like those are the same kinds of bars. That's my language. Okay. That's my language. I'm going to give you free healthcare, whether you like it or not. Okay. Turns out the liberal Joe Rogans were here all along. It was just two white ladies from Oklahoma.
All the interest. But to not be such govern like that, it would be incredible. But I don't see it from the Democratic leadership. And I've been so disappointed that Obama and others have not endorsed Zoran.
Yeah. And I think it's by design. And I think Israel is a major reason here. That's it. Because for Zoran, within the limited confines of the New York mayoral race, within the limited powers that he has as New York mayor, he looked at that problem. He went to the voters. He said, what do you care about? They said, we want better public transit. We want affordable housing. He said, bet, I'm going to give that to you. And he ran with those policies. And he was uncompromising in his worldview. And he got rewarded for it. People thought, and I think there are still a lot of Democratic consultants that try to claim that Israel is a third rail that you can't touch, that you can't actually criticize Israel. Otherwise, everyone will call you anti-Semitic, and then your career is over. You'll never be able to get AIPAC money ever again. Oh no! And it turns out the voters rewarded Zoran for that. There were so many people. There were so many right wingers that saw that famous like four of the candidates getting asked, like, where would you go after you win the mayoral race? And they're like, I'm going to the Holy Land. I'm going to Israel. I'm going to Israel a 10th time. I'm going to Israel a 4th time. And then Zoran's like, I'm the mayor of New York. Like, I'm staying in New York. And they were like, do you hate Israel? Why wouldn't you go to Israel? And that actually helped them so much. And this is something that I've been trying to tell politicians. Obviously, there are politicians that I'm friends with and friendly with and talk to with regular frequency, but they already know this. We need to stop treating voters like they're incredibly stupid.
Agree.
I think like we can be honest with voters. We can tell them, like, this stuff sucks. I mean, you're seeing the dead children. Nobody likes that.
Right.
Why are we giving money to Israel to do that? It's illegal under American law, even before the genocide, because that's a word that even Bernie Sanders sometimes is too afraid to call out openly, which, pains me because I love Bernie. But even before that, it's war crimes. It's illegal. Right. Like, Israel has absolutely done war crimes. It's unquestionable. Israel's doing a genocide that's also unquestionable. But even if you don't want to say that, Israel is doing a litany of war crimes. It is illegal for America to give weapons to a country that is doing war crimes.
For the ethnocentric American voter, you can take the big message that you just took, the right moral message, to a deep thinker who wants to absorb that and understand the human rights issues and violations pertaining to it. But to the selfish, me, capitalist, I'm so important American, these Democrats have to take the message that and it's not as pure as maybe the leftists want, but it's effective. And they have to take a message that says, you don't have health care, but everybody in Israel does. Yep. You can't access a college and without massive debt, but everybody in Israel can. Oh, and by the way, all those kids that you're seeing dead that Miss Rachel, the YouTuber, is showing you, you're paying for that, and our politicians go ahead and autograph the bombs before they send them over. That kind of language with flyover rural people fighting, and which brings me to something I wanted to talk to you about. So Zoran has been one, I'm like, okay, this is great messaging, but somebody who I thought kind of came out of hiding that I thought was kind of a good messenger that I enjoyed recently was Hunter Biden.
I mean, I've always thought he's a very telegenic individual. I've always had a fondness to Hunter Biden for his proclivity towards the incredible stories that come out of his life, as far as strippers falling in love with him, and he's like advocating for prostitutes to unionize and stuff like that. Like, there's so many different stories like that, and he's just been like a very charismatic fail son, everything that the Trump children never could be.
Right.
Handsome. He's got a big penis. And also and very charismatic. Now, do I think Hunter Biden should be the guy that's like running for office? No, I don't think so. But there are real people out there. I think with respect to what you said about rural voters and middle America voters and an environment that is ripe to capture. You're absolutely right with the way that we could be communicating this message. It's like, why is the Texas governor saying it is anti-Semitic for towns in Texas to want to take back $4 million in tax revenue that they're sending to Israel so they can spend it on infrastructure hardening, so that when the inevitable floods and chaos that unfolds with natural disasters happens, like they are better protected, they can protect their constituents better. Why is the Trump administration saying, oh, if you want FEMA dollars, you literally have to sign a loyalty pledge to Israel? That's insane. That's not America first at all. What are we talking about?
What about Sarah Huckabee Sanders' tweet where she's talking about the Arkansas Israel connection? Did you see this?
Yes.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was just,
those are the evangelical nuts. Like,
no, those are rapture preppers. Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of them, right? But there are so many more people that look at that and I think you go, oh, that's weird and gross. Like,
here's the thing that politicians need to know, because we live around rapture preppers. They're also anti-Semitic at the same time. The Jew jokes are constant and nonstop in WASP environments. And yes, they will say we're Israel first, but all of the tropes about, oh, I'm going to Jew him down. I've heard that my entire life. From rapture preppers, and they are the most.
Remember the story I told you guys about a Jewish friend of mine who went to the Midwest and unironically encountered evangelical Zionists who love Israel, the types that have Stand With Israel as their pickup truck bumper sticker, who legitimately were like, so what's up? Do you guys have horns or not? Like, there are people out there who are that stupid. It sounds insane. And I know it sounds insane. It sounds insane to say, but there are legitimately human beings around us, okay, who exist and drink the same water as us and breathe the same air as us, that have a vote that they vote for Donald Trump with, of course, every single time, sometimes illegally, who legitimately are standing with Israel proudly and for forever, that think Jewish people have horns and tails, bro. It is insane. You sure they don't live next to a data center? I mean, this is before data centers were popping up. So there are hella people who are pro-Israel and insanely anti-Semitic. Like, comically anti-Semitic, okay? And it sounds insane because you're like, there is not a person that can be that stupid in 2025. We got phones, we got internet. No, there are that are that stupid right now, okay? I'm not saying every Trump supporter is that stupid, but I am saying that every single person that has that opinion voted for Donald Trump, 100%, okay? Like, not even a question.
Anti-Semitic people I know. So that is just an insane.
Is this show called Kankles McTaco? No, this is the title of the episode. The show is called I've Had It.
Insane way to capture support. But again, these are the people that leave us prey. These are the people that the Israeli government is able to manipulate for support. And these are the same people that Vladimir Putin enters into manipulating through the prayer breakfasts.
I do find that really interesting. Like, the Putin stuff is.
I saw a lady with a Stand With Israel button at a Catholic church in Bakersfield. She is anti-Semitic, almost always.
So strange to me because, like, these guys hated Russia for years and years, even after the USSR fell, right? And then almost overnight, they I went into a couple Telegram groups or a couple Facebook groups, and now they're like, oh no, actually, Vladimir Putin is invading Ukraine to stop trans people. I mean, you're like, what? Like, how did you arrive at this? Like, how were you so easily duped? How can you be so easily convinced by a couple tweaks in the algorithm in a somewhat sophisticated influence peddling operation? But it does shock me that they that something that I thought was world defining for a lot of conservatives, especially. You're supposed to expect the liberals to be like, oh no, Russia are our friends. They're a foreign country, but like, let's not fight them. Like, nope. It's the Republicans who are now saying like, Russia is our friend and we should fight Ukraine instead.
Right.
Or the country that was invaded, we should fight those guys because they're woke and gay, which they're not. I don't know where they got that from either, but they're just like, no, they're Democrats. Ukraine is the Democratic Party country and Russia is the Republican Party country, so they're good. And it blows my mind that it
there's so
works.
much homoeroticism in the Republican Party and so much suppressed sexuality, bisexuality, homosexuality, closet cases, and Vladimir Putin did his topless photo op on top of that horse, and they were just frothing at the mouth.
He did look good. I hate to give him that. He did look good on that. He did look. It's cool. I wish more politicians would do stuff like that.
Oh my! Please don't tell me Trump is going to get topless. I mean, that is just.
Oh no! I hope not.
So bad. So bad.
I hope not, because I'll be too turned on. You know, there are people who think he's hot, which is so crazy. That's like one of the things where I'm like, oh, you're like actually hallucinating.
Right.
Like
There's no way.
When ladies at like Trump rallies will be like, I would want him to grab my p-. I'm like, oh, what? Like, you think this guy is like a sexual dynamo.
But you know
That's
what? This is
crazy.
what's interesting to me. They're all so, like, a lot of the men are so deeply attracted to his aura, to him.
This is chatters. This is your opportunity, by the way. This is something to show your moms, okay? This is a mom-approved podcast. Remember, when I tell you, like, when I do these kinds of appearances, like, it's a perfect way to introduce the guy yelling at you every day for 8 hours a day to your friends or family members. Like, if I do a bro podcast, you can show it to your bros. If I do a podcast that you can show your moms, this one is it. Your you know, unks and aunties living in the global south is the Al Jazeera one. You know what I mean? It's like your entrepreneur friends, you can show the iced coffee hour one or the Tom Billier one that I just did. Bro, I ain't ever introducing you to my mom. Why are you worried?
But they have to Photoshop images of him. So you get all this homoeroticism that comes out of MAGA. Like to me, MAGA is the most.
My brother watched the clips of you on Twitter and decided you're a bad guy, but he's one breakup away from red pill scary. Oh no. Show him Andrew Schultz. The one I did with Andrew Schultz. He'll see, or Theo Vaughn, you know, a recent one. If you want to find a recent one, do the one with Theo Vaughn. Like, there's always something out there. I've done so many media appearances. Okay, trust.
Homoerotic movement. It's more gay than Pride Month because,
for sure.
It's just they talk about genitals. They're talking about sex,
bathrooms.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, they're obsessed.
Yeah, if you have esoteric political ideology focused friends, then Doom Scroll Pod, that's a good one. You know, you got your friend that's like maybe a little too into weird politics. You can show the Doom Scroll one. I got some for everybody.
Yeah.
There is definitely like an unhealthy sexual pathology associated. Like when they were talking about Trump as daddy, Tucker Carlson went on. I don't know if you ever saw that video where he's like, Trump is daddy and daddy's home. And I was like,
yes.
Dude, you're a grown ass man. What are you saying right now? Like, and I don't know where that stems from. And I think there's like a lot of repression. And then there's a lot of like straightforward homophobia, queerphobia, things of that nature, of course, like just like pure bigotry. And you can kind of tell, like you can tell who's the Lindsey Graham in the situation and who's just like a straightforward bigot and not even like repressed or anything.
Let's identify those. Let's okay. Moses Mike Johnson, is he a straightforward bigot, or would you say he's the Lindsey Graham?
No, I don't think he's a closeted gay man, even though I have heard people make this inference. I think he is into like weird kink shit though. Like I think he's the type of guy who like is into BDSM and because like he has that porn app, right? Like he has the porn watchdog app that him and his son monitor each other's like porn consumption to keep one another on the ball. So they're not like, you know, they're not like looking at porn. And to me, it's like, dude, if you have your son doing that for you, you got to be a real freak. You know what I mean? It's just like, just don't watch porn. What's wrong with you? Or just watch porn. Who cares? Like, but like you got your son involved in this. Like that's crazy. And then why do we know this? Because he volunteered this information.
Right.
How crazy is that?
He told us.
You're a real freak.
With a camera rolling. Okay, what about JD Vance?
Ooh, JD Vance is an interesting one. I think he's just too. I think JD Vance is I mean, he's a straight guy, but he's gay for pay. You know what I mean? Like he will do it. Like he will do it as long as there's like a higher office that he can reach, because he is like a real he's one of those like real sociopathic brown nosers. Like he knows Trump sucks.
You've
but it
seen
doesn't
his
matter.
drag photos, right? Where he has the wig on.
Well, he was in the
like,
Navy.
You know,
Or no, he
he's
was
like
Marine,
posed
never mind.
up. Yeah, I always tell Pumps, I just envision that he gets home from work and he's like, "Hi, Usha," and he's like, you know, tells the kids, "Daddy's got to have time in the bathroom." And I picture him, you know, that scene from Silence of the Lambs where the serial killer is like putting on makeup and tucking his penis under and like dancing. I picture JD Vance doing something that dark after work.
I don't know. I don't, like I said, I think he's just more so, I peg him as a straight man, but he's definitely experimented. I mean, he was in the Marines. Like those guys get down, you know, they do wild stuff. It's not even until recently, it wasn't even an issue.
I'm 19. Why is this the type of podcast that actually entertains me? These ladies are television stars beforehand, like reality TV. I think they did reality TV beforehand. And also, we're being entertaining. This is normal. I'm not saying this is just, these kinds of podcasts are just for the specific group that we're talking about. Chatters, yeah, Jen was in Bravo for years. Go watch the rest of the episode, okay? I don't want to give you all the goods. Go watch, go show support, and show some love.